What's up, gamers? Bike Guy Alex here. Today we're going to run through a tier list review for bike accessories. Okay, that's what we're doing today, and all of your opinions and ratings will come from me, the master of bikes, Bike Guy Alex. All right. Starting off, we're going to look at the saddle bag. All right, guys. Now, I don't really care why you have a saddlebag on. It doesn't look cool, okay? Is it practical? Yeah. You can carry some flat repairs, you can carry some tools in your saddlebag, so it's practical. But you look really dumb with a saddlebag on. The only people that should be using saddlebags are middle-aged men in spandex thinking that they're going to all of a sudden compete in the Tour de France on every bike ride. Those are the dudes that have saddlebags, and they're lame, and saddlebags are lame. Therefore, saddlebags will go to the squeaky brakes dungeon. All right. Next up, we have bottle cages. Now, bottle cages, whether you like them or not, they're a necessity for longer bike rides. It's the best way to carry water and hydration. If you're wearing a camelback while you ride, I'm sorry, that's an L. You deserve 12 years and nipple clamps or something. Like that's a worst option. Okay. Um, Bottle cages, they're fine. I personally don't care for the traditional bottle cage, but the traditional bottle cage, that's going to be a C tier item. They're okay, they're not great. They don't really take anything away from the bike, and they do add the practicality of carrying water with you. Now, my personal choice and preference for bottle cages would be ones that carry Nalgene's, Hydro Flasks, those things, because those are the water bottles that I use. So that's my preference. And to be honest, you look a bit cooler if you have a Nalgene strapped to your bike. So Nalgene water bottle holders on your bike, that's a B tier. All right, guys, that's a B tier. Next up, we have kickstands. All right, if you're over the age of 5 and you still have a kickstand on your bike, that's an L. All right, the only reason you should have a kickstand on your bike if you're over the age of 5 is if you have one of those huge front rack cargo bikes, and you're using your bike for the one and only purpose that cargo bikes should really be used for, which is if you are a bike messenger and you're using it to carry lots of items from one place to another, and you need to be able to load up that cargo bike. That's when bike kickstands are okay. But even then, you're going to get deducted cool points for having a kickstand. So if you're over the age of 5 and you still got a kickstand on your normal bike, guess what? You're going to the moose knuckle and spandex level, guys. That is for you to decide whether that's something that you like or not. But in my opinion, that's very bad. That's why it's my lowest tier here. And that's what you are if you got a kickstand on your bike. All right, guys, it's just embarrassing. Take it off. You don't need it. Like, what's the purpose? Okay. Next up, we're going to go to colorful cable housing. I think cable housing, especially, I think cable housing, especially when used tastefully, can be a fantastic accent to your bike build. And therefore, colorful cable housing will go in the A tier. All right, guys? It can just add so much to the bike. It really can. And it's not that hard to come by, and it's a pretty inexpensive option to really take your bike from stock lame-o to that next level of custom build. Backpacking off of that, we're going to look at grips. I think grips are one of the greatest accessories to add to your bike. Not only are they a necessity and help with your bike feel, but also they can be really cool and add some cool factor to your bike. Now, this has a caveat, obviously, because there's some really, really gnarly bike grips out there that just look disgusting, that should not be put on your bike. But if done tastefully, they look really good and add a lot of coolness factor to your bike, and that's why they're going to end up in the A tier. Bike grips are essential and pretty cool. Oh, looks like I skipped a water bottle holder. The water bottle cage that clips on to the back of your saddle. That's really bad. If you have that, it's probably because you do triathlons, and if you do triathlons, you're really lame and a psychopath. So that's going to go on the moose knuckle and spandex tier as well. Don't get one of those. They're not that cool. Except my really good friend Ben Cycles, he has a dual bottle cage holder that attaches to the back of his seat. That one's pretty cool, but this one that I put in my tier list, that's moose knuckle level. Guys, come on. Don't do that. Don't do triathlons. Don't have a water bottle like that. Okay? Next up, we're going to do fenders. Okay? Fenders, I think they're pretty stylish. I think they're cool, and the practicality of them is fantastic. Being a full-time bike commuter myself now, there have been times where I've had to ride in pouring rain, and let me just tell you, it's not fun to be getting soaked from both sides, from the rain coming down on top and from the rain coming up off my wheels. And so I have wished to have had fenders at those times. They're also just super practical if you're riding after a heavy rain and there's just rain all over the ground. It's going to help keep you dry. They look really steezy. They add a lot of coolness factor to your bike, and they're really practical. And that's why we're going to put them in the A tier as well. I'm going to move them above colorful cable housing because they're more practical than that. And I think if I were to choose between putting fenders on my bike and putting some accent colors of cable housing, I'm going to go with the fenders. The fenders will add so much more coolness factor than a couple of unique colors coming out of your brake and gears. So yeah. I have another fender on here. It's the AFS Saver type of fender. These ones are less cool than the traditional fenders that you put on there, but they're still pretty practical, and it's a great cheap alternative, especially if you're just using it for that practicality reason. However, they're not going to add as much coolness factor as those traditional fenders. And so therefore, we're going to put those AFS Saver type fenders in the C tier. Okay, that's where they're going. All right. Next up, we're going to look at handlebars. Okay. First, we're going to start off with drop bars. Drop bars are fine. I personally don't like drop bars anymore, having really converted to a full-time bike commuter. I don't really have the need for drop bars, going TT, doing any of that stuff anymore. But I have ridden bikes with drop bars, and I have nothing against drop bars. They're just not my favorite. And so because of that, drop bars is going to get a D tier from me. Next, we're going to look at the the sweep back handlebars, an old school style seen on a lot of clunker builds. It's a really comfortable commuter style handlebar, and overall I think it looks pretty fresh. I've really grown to love the sweep back bars for how they look and for how they function. Super comfortable ride with those things. So we're going to put them up here in the B tier. Fantastic, fantastic handlebar. So lastly, we're going to look at flat bars. Flat bars are probably my favorite of the bar variety, mostly because I like to ride my fixed gear a lot, and the flat bar is the most comfortable on that bike, especially when you get a nice wide flat bar. I think wide flat bars look so freaking cool and are super comfortable to ride on. I especially like a super wide flat bar on a bike with no brakes. Comment down below if you hate brakes as much as I do. Although I do ride a lot of bikes with brakes, if I could only ride bikes without brakes, I probably would. Actually, I probably wouldn't. But I love bikes and I hate brakes, and a nice wide flat bar without any cable housing coming off of it, without any gears or brakes attached to it, looks so fresh, and that is why flat bars are going in the S tier. Flat bars are by far my favorite. Next up, we're going to do some racks, okay? We got a front pizza rack and a rear rack. Let's start with my least favorite. That's going to be the rear rack. Rear racks look stupid, and they just look stupid. They carry probably the same functionality as a front rack, but I think they look less cool. And if I had a rear rack on my bike, which, in case anybody was wondering, I did, I didn't use it like at all. I just had it on there, and it looked kind of stupid. And it was on my fixed gear, and it prevented me from doing foot brakes. So that made that bike a little bit more sketchy, which made me like that bike a bit more. But it looks stupid. I didn't even use it. I don't know why rear racks are a thing. Just don't. If you're going to get a rear rack, you better be bike packing. You better have a reason for that back there. Because if I see an empty rear rack, I'm kicking your bike over. Like, that is so stupid. Like, don't have a rear rack or have something on it. And if it's a milk crate, oh my gosh, guys. L. That's an L. If you strap a milk crate to your rear rack, I might pee in your bottom bracket. That's how much I think it looks stupid. So don't do that. And yeah. Rear racks, whatever. I've had a rear rack on my bike, so it's not going to go in the moose knuckle tier. But I think they're stupid. They don't look that good. So they're going to get squeaky brakes dungeon. Okay, guys? That's where it's going. On the flip side, the front pizza rack. Chef's kiss. What a beautiful accessory to add to your bike. Functionality, about the same as a rear rack. Do you use your pizza rack that much? The answer is no. A lot of people that have front racks on their bikes rarely use them. In my case, I've had a couple front racks on my bike, and I've used them for some things, and it has made carrying those objects a lot easier. I.e., 16 pack of beer. I think I also carried a 30 rack of beer on one, and it worked fantastic. It looked cool too, and you have the accessibility to reach in there and grab a beer while you're riding. Front pizza racks, they are goated. They are the best thing that you can add to your bike. They look cool. The functionality is equal to a rear rack, but come on, this is all about looks. And the front rack, that's S tier, guys. You got a front rack with some nice wide handlebars and no brakes on your bike, man, I might fall in love. Yep. If you didn't hear that because the microphone is only attached to me, my girlfriend said that front racks, you can make sure no one's stealing from you at all times, especially if it's beer. Come on, guys. You don't want somebody riding up behind you because you got your beer on your rear rack and nicking a beer. Middle of your ride? Come on. That's a party foul. That's something that won't happen if you only use the front rack. So, front rack's goated, rear racks, take the L. Get your bottom bracket piston. I don't know. Wrapping this thing up, we're going to look at a couple of different bags. I know we did the saddle bag first, and that was an L. But we're also going to look at the front bag, the front bar bag, guys. Front bar bags, pretty cool. Tasteful. They look good. They're way more usable than a saddlebag because while you're riding, zip, look at that. We now have our candy bar that we can eat. They are fantastic. They can carry your tools, they can carry your spares, they can do everything that a saddlebag does, but in a cooler way and in a more accessible way. Therefore, your front bar bag, that's going to get a solid A tier, guys. Come on. So good, guys. Looks good, accessible. I don't know how many times I'm going to say the same thing over and over again about the same products, but we love them. That's why they're going in the A tier. We're going to put them right behind Fenders, because come on, guys. That's where it deserves to be. It's where it deserves to be. I think I'm also going to make a little edit here. The front pizza rack, that goes above Flatbars. Come on, guys. If you have the combo, though, I already said it, but I'm going to fall in love. Finally, we're going to look at the frame bag. Frame bags, they're cool. But if you have a frame bag on your bike and you're not actually going bike packing, what are you doing? Why do you have that on there? It's like people who drive jacked up, super four-wheel drive cars, you know what I'm saying? But it's pristine white and they just use it to drive around the neighborhood. Like, I'm sorry, Sharon, but that's not what that's used for, and you look stupid when you do it. That's the same thing with a frame bag. If you're not actually using it for bike packing and you just have your frame bag on there all the time, you look stupid. Take it off when you're just riding around the neighborhood or taking it to work or whatever. If you're not actually using your frame bag, take that off. You look stupid. But if you're using it for bike packing, and I see you out there on the trail, you're a pretty cool guy. And you know what? There's some really cool frame bags out there. Fish Ski makes probably the best bike bags I've seen in all existence, and he makes a beautiful frame bag. So if you do have a frame bag, especially if it's from Fish Ski, you're getting an A tier. But if you're keeping that frame bag on just to ride around the neighborhood, just to be like, oh, I'm so cool, I go bike packing all the time, nah, you're getting knocked down to a C tier. So use the frame bag for bike packing, that's A tier. Keeping it on your bike all the time, C tier, guys. All right, that's going to do it with the tier list today. So let me know what you guys think about my opinions in the comments below. Please don't hesitate to be mean if you disagree with any of my rankings here. And please let me know if you want another tier list for bike products. Maybe we can go even more specific next time on bike products. And yeah, that's it for today. Bike Guy out.